It is the monthly webinar, the first one of 2025 for CompanyCam, and we're so excited to have Jenna Jackson joining us again, the Executive Director of Operations at Acadian House. Jenna, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for having me again.
Yes, absolutely. So excited. Let's do some housekeeping first. Number one, for those that are joining us, we have the chat function. Make sure at the bottom it says to everyone and not just to me or Jenna or backstage, any of those things. So make sure that when you're chatting, it's to everyone so we can all see it. And to make sure it's working, tell us where you're checking in from. City, state, country. Jump in the chat and let us know where you are joining us from today. The other housekeeping item, we have a podcast at CompanyCam called the Good Contractor Podcast that I host with CEO Luke Hansen, CompanyCam CEO Luke Hansen, where we tell the stories of contractors. It is not a podcast that is trying to sell you anything, including CompanyCam. It more so just talks about real contractors, their stories of how they got into it, the challenges, the successes, all that good stuff. So we are launching season 2 here in the next few weeks, but season 1, including 18 episodes, is out wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. It is the Good Contractor Podcast. So check it out if you have not. Today, as we kick off a year, we're talking about planning because obviously, no matter what trade you're in, planning is a big deal. And real quick, I want to read some of these because here we got a lot of people joining us. So we've got,
Hey, how exciting.
yeah, we have Tom from Connecticut. Ryan's coming from Boca Raton, Florida. Thomas, Indiana. We have Nova Scotia. We have Aurora, Colorado, Indianapolis, Arizona, Texas, Illinois, Connecticut again. There's New Jersey. I was trying to see if we had any Louisiana folks where Jenna is. Nebraska folks. We have a Go Big Red. That's good. We Christian is here from Lincoln and CompanyCam. Yes, Chicago, Texas, Portland, Oregon, Mississippi, Wisconsin. This is awesome. Very cool. Keep checking in. Let us know where you're coming in from. Make sure that chat feature is to everyone. I will get to your questions as soon as I possibly can. If I miss one, I apologize. I'll do my best to try to get to everybody if you have them. Uh, but I just want to welcome Jenna Jackson again. She is the Executive Director of Operations at Acadian House, and we're going to talk about planning. We're going to talk about how a home remodeler is planning for growth in 2025. But like I always say, anytime we do this, and Jenna's awesome at talking about things that will benefit so many different people, no matter what you're doing. We can all plan, no matter what business we're in. So it really will apply to everybody. But let's start here, Jenna. When you're at this point of the calendar year, or you're starting off and you're thinking about, okay, what do I want to accomplish as a business? I guess who is involved in planning for your business? I mean, do you look at it as small team, big team, starting with one person? I guess, how do you look at, okay, we're going to plan. Now, who's on this to get it all done?
So we really start top down, but we also do it collaboratively. So it's a joint effort between everyone on our team, and it's something that is huge for us. We start our strategic planning in July for the next year, and we get into finalizing that in October, and that goes everything from the budget planning to marketing. I mean, you name it, we start in July and we try and end it and really finalize it by October. That way we can like tweak things if we need to. That being said, the budget talk is usually done mid-July because that drives the conversation for our team and then goals after that. This includes like employee evaluations, discussing achievement setbacks, goals, having transparent company goals is really critical with planning.
When I was thinking about planning and just having, you've got, everybody has a different size company. You may have a company with you and one other person. You may have a company with 10, 20 people. When do you start going, okay, we're in the planning phase and I'm going to bring X amount of people into, when am I going to bring in the larger group? When am I going to start to bring in others? How involved are certain people in the planning that are also going to, I guess from a delegation standpoint, how do you
Right.
look at that?
So when we start with the budget, that's CFO and I, and we talk through it. And then once that happens and we get our numbers and what our goals are for next year as a company, we bring our design teams in. And then project management, it comes in after that. And our subcontractors, because they're subs, they don't work under the Acadian House umbrella. They're really not involved in the planning process. We do give them the majority of their work. So we have subcontractors, but I would say 98% of what they do comes from Acadian House. So we do take into consideration, their views on what they want their year to look like as well. That all starts with conversations about what they want. We include them in the planning because as leadership, we get the opportunity to ask, like, how can we help you achieve the goals that you want? And that's where the planning comes in. And what resources do you need to achieve these goals? And so if we don't have the team involved in that, I don't know how much money I need to spend, or I might be overspending when I don't have the buy-in from my team. So the planning really should involve, and it doesn't matter if you have that one person team, you still, the one person team, you still have to have your goal. If you have two or more, really, it doesn't matter what that team size is. If you don't have the buy-in from the company on or your employees of what you want to do for the next year, then it's useless, right? That planning process is useless. So we really get a very early start on it so we can have them come in during that process. And we do weekly team meetings, so I'm constantly checking in on if our plan that we have implemented is going well. And I will pivot quickly if it's not, because I don't want the issues to continue. So as far as that's concerned, our team is you know really involved early in the planning process because I want their commitment in it. It's important for me to know that what I'm asking of them, they can accomplish. And I don't want to, plan on a year and it not being able to be done because I haven't got the commitment from my team.
Right. It's a good time to check in with everybody that's joining us. We'll ask this for the audience, but do you guys bring in subcontractors to your planning? And then I'll pitch that to Jenna. How often do you think that happens? Is important, is crucial? Is it okay to, when is it okay not? When is it okay to? When does it make more sense? I guess from a let's bring in subcontractors to this planning process, what are your thoughts on that in general?
I think that it depends on your business structure. It depends on when they come in. I want the subs that work for us understand our goal long term. So before you come into Acadian House, we explain our vision, our mission, and the goal that we want to collectively. So they understand what we expect from them. And we make the promise goes to them where that planning process and for us, it's not necessary to have them in because we have the buy-in from them and from the start. We're very transparent in what we expect from our quality control, timeliness, all of those things come into play when you go into signing up with a subcontractor. Our subcontractors have been with us for 10 plus years. And I do think it's because we do plan out and we are very transparent with what we expect our year to be. So it may be at the end of it, it's like, hey, look, this is what we have planned out for the year. This is what it's going to look like for you. We'll have 65 to 70 jobs signed, and we'll be able to produce this much work for you. So it's important, definitely, to give them the plan so they know that you're solid within a year and that this is what you're working toward. But for them to come in and help you make that plan, I don't know if that's necessary for any company to change whatever mission they're on to mold around a subcontractor. I think that you need to get the buy-in from them to understand that you're going to give this to them, and what that plan is. And there may say there's, an off year. We're not expecting to do 65 jobs. It's important for them to know it's like, well, we're going to try and hit 40 this year, and that's what it's going to be. So getting them to understand that's important. And we do that every year.
Yeah. A big part of planning is goal setting. So
Yes.
everybody, I think as long as I've been doing this in every business that I've been involved in, whether or not it is contracting or a different space, everyone has a different method for how they formulate, track, do all those things with goals. And I found that there's a lot of really cool ways. It's not like, oh, there's one right way and a bunch of wrong ways. But can you talk about like, do you use a specific model? Is there something that you prefer when you're setting and planning and saying, let's create some goals for the year?
Yes, I like the SMART model. I mean, it's very simple, but it is key components of really what you need, and it's specific. So plan effectively with specific targets. Don't roundabout. I want to do this. I want to make this. I want to complete this. And that a way you can create, the measurable part of it, track your progress, and reevaluate if it's needed through the year. Attainable, make sure that you're setting these goals and that they're actually attainable. First year of your company saying that I want to make $10 million probably is not so attainable for your employees. I always shoot for as much as I can possibly do. But we have to have attainable goals. So no number will ever be enough for me, but I have to have numbers down because I want to create clear expectations for my team. Make sure that they're relevant and timely, be specific to a deadline. Again, having wiggle room in some of this is not really, I would say it's not productive within our industry anyway. I think that you really have to be specific with some of this. And some of the goals that we've had for this year, if we can move into that portion of it, some of the goals that we've had, I think a company is always really looking to expand, reach into like new geographic areas. So always doing study around the places. So we have a 32 to 37-minute ratio around us where this is where we'll work. So, well, I want to expand that, but I don't want to expand it over the Baton Rouge Bridge because I have no idea when I'm going to get back over that bridge. But I will go an extra 10 minutes the other way because I know that I can get back and or my subcontractors can get back home, or because the bridge sometimes shuts down and it's impossible to get home sometimes. So that's why I say that, making sure that you study into that geographical spread. And then targeting legacy clients that you've had already. It doesn't cost anything to get them back into it. Like you've already put the dollar amount out there to get them as a lead. So we target hard on that as well. And then for us this year, quality control, and just reviewing it for the profit margin, and making sure that KPI is attained as well.
Jay in our chat, he says, as a sub myself, this is going back to our previous topic, but I did want to get to this. This is interesting.
Definitely.
As a sub myself, I have a talk with my CGs every 4 to 6 months, looking 12 months out, just to make sure we are growing in the same manner, or if there's a slowdown coming that I have planned for my team. So, kind of like you were saying, and I think it's the relationship you have, it's the scope, it's the size of the jobs you're doing, it's the year you're going to have. It's do you have a relationship with subs that, are ongoing and lasting, or are they more, interchangeable? So yeah, that's interesting that there is that long-term viewpoint from both the sub and general contractor.
Yeah, and it's like what Jay's saying, 4 to 6 months, looking 12 months into it. And we start in July and we definitely go into the new year. And we do talk with our subs. I think that's good point, a sub being in the chat speaking on that, because it's important that that roll together is that we know we're going to attain the same goal, because we do ask our subs too, do you have a goal this year for yourself, for your company? So, because we want to push for our subs as well, because the way that our company structure is that they don't have, obviously a sub, they don't have to go out to find this client. I just hand it to them. So it's like, okay, you're going to be here this day. So it is important for us to know where they align, or if they align with the same company and structure. So I think that's a great point.
When you're looking at, let's say you were coaching somebody on goals and you're saying, okay, now we've set these things, we're using the SMART method, all that stuff. What are some KPIs that you suggest saying, okay, are we meeting these goals? Are we doing the things that, we set out to do? Because I think sometimes it's like, well, we set a goal. I'm not really tracking it as well as I should have. What suggestions do you have from a kind of performance tracking of these things that you said at the beginning of the year?
So numbers are everything to
Mm.
us, everything. We rely heavily on it because we do it every year. They're proven that if we stay within certain KPIs, our company will thrive. And so I'm in our system daily to see where those numbers are moving to. And that we rely heavily on conversion percentages, and meaning like our lead to an in-home, our in-home to the actual design process, and then so on. And if those conversions stay within the percentages that we want, the dollar amount will come. So I stress on our design team making sure that we get them to the next step, not necessarily the end goal of like this big, huge number. Focus on getting them to the conversion percentage, because it's there. Like our leads are there to where you can focus on the conversion percentages for us to be a profitable company. And so that's where our KPI for our design team comes in, and also for construction. But so following those numbers, we do I look in weekly, I go over them monthly. We have a business coach that I go over it with him, the profit loss verse. We dive deep into the budget as well. But as far as measurable KPIs for your team, we do percentages, again, percentages on conversion, and then the profitability on the job, and then average dollar sale. That is for our design team. We make sure that they're very aware of how fast it's getting done. They're very aware of, like what they need to do in their documents to be sure that construction is good and that they have everything they need, that the profitability on the job is high. And then also that the average dollar sale stays within what we need it to be at the end of the year. And then for project management, obviously it's timeliness, budget, the quality, client reviews. I even want that to be a big goal for our project management team, is to pull our clients into, that legacy program. And then the retention of subs. What are our relationships with our subs? That's a huge KPI for us. Huge KPI for us. I need it to be a good relationship. We have to work together and trust each other. And then job site safety is always top of the list as well. So those are the KPIs that we really push for. And I think it's important for most companies um, to drill that into the team on giving them attainable KPIs too. Instead of this big, large picture, like obviously talk about that big, large picture during the strategic planning, but breaking down those things. How many do you have to make at this average dollar sale to accomplish the big goal that we need? So making sure that they're aware, I need this many jobs sold at this dollar amount, and I know that they're going to give me this many leads, so I need to convert this many. So we kind of get the budget, and then we work backwards to be sure that our girls have exactly what they need to know to move forward with those conversion percentages. And then as far as productivity for our project management team, I always try to make sure that the design team knows, and they do a great job at this, that when they give them that construction manual, the job site, we call it job site handbook, but like when they get that, I want that to be the documents where it can move forward to project management, and then we're only pulled back into it for other design questions. So it's no longer thought about. They can move on to the next client and give them, a 5-star service. So those are our KPIs that we do. Can I go to Daisy, please, if you don't mind, in the comments?
Yeah,
I'm kind of
absolutely.
jumping, but
Yeah.
as business coach, I we have a great business coach. His name's Dan Zemansky. And if you contact me later, I'll give you his information. He's fantastic. If this doesn't work for you, I think as far as a business coach goes, they should be just like a coach, meaning like they should hold you accountable. And when something's not done, you almost should feel guilty for not getting the things done for this person. So I'll get you that information. I think that's important to have.
Awesome. And then yeah, we'll drop your contact
Thank
info
you.
in here. Christian will drop it in here for you in the chat, and then we'll put it on. Also, just so everybody knows before you ask, we will have this on replay on YouTube as usual. Uh, so if you missed anything, you can definitely check this out, and we'll put Jenna's contact information in the YouTube description as well. Jane asks, as an operations manager, what tools do you recommend are the most important to utilize for those KPIs that you mentioned?
So we use several systems. We have HubSpot, and in HubSpot, you can create deals, and in those deals, it can create reports for you to show how long they've been in each bucket, meaning like our sales journey. I use that. I use that a lot. They also within the system, so you can track anything you want within HubSpot. I have to say, like, drop a little pin on them. They've been great to work to be able to customize what we need, because the way that we do things is much different than just a general contractor, because we are from start to finish, and I want to see that whole sales journey, and I want to see where we messed up, and then where we hit our goals, where are we doing great, and then where we can improve. And HubSpot really does that great for us as far as the design portion of it, or the sales aspect of things. When you get into the project management tools and how we grade or we look at their KPIs. CompCam has been a lifesaver. I'm not just saying that. I said that last time.
I
It
didn't
feels
tell
so
her to say
guilty.
anything about CompanyCam. I promise.
I feel guilty saying anything because I know that this is being done by CompanyCam, but I'm telling you, it's been a lifesaver for our company. I can see it. Our girls can see it in live time on the screen. So the profitability of our jobs is skyrocketing because I can stop an issue from happening immediately. Right then and there, if I see the picture load, we can communicate through CompanyCam. That is huge for KPIs. Our project management team meets their KPIs yearly because of that. Um, so I think having a really good, uh, a really good system like HubSpot to where you can get really good reporting. We used to do everything by hand, literally everything by hand. And as
And
good as that,
trust me, there's so many times that we've talked to contractors, and whether it was some of our, just case studies or customer interviews, but also a good contractor podcast, whatever. And I've had more than people might imagine go, no, I really did. I prefer to do this by hand, and then finally had to make the leap. But yeah, that
yeah. And I'll be lying to you if I told you that I didn't have a backup plan. As a good leader, you should always have a backup plan. So I do have everything on paper because I just want the numbers. That's how important they are to me and to our team, to where I know that we're on track because I don't want to wait 6 months and say, "Oh my gosh, our plan is not working.
Hmm.
Actually, it's made things worse for us, and now we have to abort." And I don't want to have to do that. So I'm constantly looking and making sure that what we plan for is what we are striving to get and that we're still there. And so I do have paper, but HubSpot's really, really great. And CompanyCam, I see, but we love CompanyCam saved our minds. Yes, it did. I don't go to bed at night wondering what happened on the job site. Neither do my designers, and all of our subcontractors have access to this as well.
Love it. Two questions. One, this is off the chat, but this is, do you ever abandon a KPI or a goal mid-year, or do you stick with it until the next annual planning or whenever regular scheduled planning would be?
I will abort a mission quickly. I mean, I have no timeline for it, but if I see that it's plummeting and people are giving the initiative that I've asked them to, and that I have given the leadership and coaching that is needed um for success, I won't continue to do it. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So some things that I think I wrote down last night, I was reading over some things I thought was important to give to you guys was, if it no longer aligns with your vision or your mission or your company culture, it will kill your company. Our company culture is number one to me. So if it doesn't align, if the goal doesn't fit into the long-term business strategy, forcing it is going to create more harm than good. Um, if your resources are being drained without a ROI, that's a big one. If I see that, a goal is eating up too much time, money, or resources, I will definitely back off. It doesn't mean I won't revisit it, but I just see that it's just not the right time. I probably got a big old bucket of didn't works that I will go back to. We will look at it as a team again during strategic planning and saying, this didn't work. Does anybody have suggestions? Um, and again, we'll do that weekly through the year, making small tweaks on these things because at the end of the day, your team, you have a front line that they are the ones that are going to experience the setbacks on the things that you put into place as a leader. And I want to know how I can do better for them during the process also, because they made me think this is going really well, but I think we can tweak it this way. And I'll try anything once. I will. I think it's important to be, to be able to pivot within a company and really change directions. And also, if you just have a consistent lack of progress within the goal that you set or the planning procedure that you've put into place, multiple strategy fail and adjustments are not making measurable progress. So I would abandon it then.
Deegan asks, do you find your timeline of work goes smoothly or are subs running behind and you're a couple days behind schedule? And if so, how do you manage that to help keep productivity going and fitting into the timeline?
Um, this is we keep on track. We assign ourselves an appropriate amount of time and even give cushion. We're very upfront with our clients as far as when something doesn't go straight, and we have to add an additional week, 2 weeks. They're the first ones to know about it. Um, when a sub is running behind, we just call, hey, look, like, our end date, because we give a start and finish date, and it's guaranteed, not guaranteed, but it's guaranteed. We strive for this number and we hit it, I will tell you, 80 to 85% of the time, because the subs know that if I'm making a phone call to them, that it's urgent, or this needs to be prioritized first. And then they will tell me, no, that's just not going to work. And then we have to come up with a plan, because I'm not the trade master. I don't know. I'm not a jack of all trades. I want to know their opinion on it too. Um, so that's how we really manage to help keep the productivity going, is we have weekly scheduling meetings to make sure, and CompCam also falls into a huge reason why we stay on track, because I can see if we're running behind and how I can help, and how the design team can help, like shift or move something to where that portion of the project may just not need to happen, or we can move something in front of it or behind it or manipulate another job. So again, being able to, we have a project manager, and then we have CompanyCam that is its assistant. So that's how you have to look at it. You have your project manager, because you have to have your leader, and then you have CompanyCam, who is the assistant, and then that assists all of your subs. And then you have your process on how you use it. We have now created and documented Acadian House process on how we want our team to use it, our subs to use it, and project management. And that's important. Learning how to use it, doing the webinars that they provide, because it's a key player for us. And I think it will be in construction all over. And that's just my opinion. But that's how we keep our timeline fit to what our schedule is.
I
I hope
think you
that
bring up,
helps.
yeah, I think you bring up really something really interesting. And one of the things is, I think when people think about goals all the time, they think about, well, sales goals, revenue goals, profit goals, return on investment goals, looking at numbers, numbers, numbers. But I think you bring up a really good point, and I know you have documented before we did this webinar about it as well. But I think choosing software or having operational goals are just as important. And I think you've highlighted that. How often do you hear someone where they get real, they start talking about, well, these are my revenue goals. This is what I want to hit. And it's like, well, wait a minute. The processes, how,
How are you going to get there?
yeah. And there's like, I almost think I've run into this, like, one of the things I think you and I talked about last time was software adoption. It scares people, like, oh, adopting this software and getting it. And like, was my team going to use it? And how do I get them to use it? To me, it's like, sometimes folks never think, oh, that could be also part of my goals, along with the revenue and the profit, is putting in this new process that includes new software, that includes this. Now we do this every single time. How often
Mhm.
do you see people not think about those things and just about the numbers and the dollars
A
and
lot, a
yeah.
lot. We really, the numbers are important. Obviously, you can't have a company without making money. That's a relevant statement. It's a fact. But also, if you don't have the coaching that you, or the software, or the things that can make you a more profitable or a better company, it's just going to backtrack, or you'll just stay stagnant. I don't think anybody that's in I don't think anybody that's in a business owner that's in business or sales wants to just stay stagnant. I don't think they want to make $1 million and only stay at $1 million. If I make $1 million, I'm looking for 1.1. I'm looking for 1.2. I'm looking for 1.3. And the only way you do that is if you just keep up with the times. I grew up in, I'm 38, and I'm kind of in the middle of like tech savvy and hating it. But I have to adapt to it, and I'll say, that's where my team comes in. I will bring them in before I make a decision. Do you think this will help you be more productive? CompanyCam was not a blind dive in. We knew all about it before, and we knew how we would use it, not documented how we would use it. We do now, but we had to fail with it before we could find exactly what works. Um, and by doing that, we were able to implement HubSpot. Even was before CompanyCam. And when we implemented HubSpot, when I came in and really kind of talked with ownership, I thought we could use it in different ways, whether it was marketing or sales or keeping track of leads. There's so many things that you can do, and that's got to be goals for you, and is, improving what you have software wise as well. Not even introducing new things. How can we have this already? We're paying for this already. We already know the ins and out of it, but there's always updates, and staying on top of that. And we do that quarterly, or we try to do it quarterly, where we sit and we review all of our processes, and we do amendments to them. And that's important. If you don't have a process, you have, what are you following? How are you going to get to your goal? Why are you planning?
This feels accidental. Like, oh, we made it. How'd we do
Right,
that?
right.
We
And
didn't.
sometimes it is accidental. But I mean,
Yeah.
when I came here, our, ownership was great. Angela Poirier is our owner. She's just such a powerhouse in this industry. I said it last time and I say it again. She's like the Michael Jordan of what we do. And her processes were so well put together. It wasn't hard for me just to wrap it in a bow and create an actual curriculum for our new employees and also like playbooks for our current employees.
Mhm.
So I think that that's if you don't have a goal, if you don't have that in place, your goal in 2025 should 100%. That should be number one. Number one is to document your processes.
Yeah. And make a goal to have goals. That's
That's right.
Aaron asks, can we get your process, Jenna, on how you use CompanyCam? They are trying to decide on best practices for tasks versus checklists versus chat.
Sure.
So
We can dive into
yeah,
that a little bit.
yeah.
So we obviously create individual job sites and we put the name on there, all that good stuff. You document that. And then we allow our subcontractors to have access to that. And then what we do is we have a weekly lead meeting. And that's with our project manager and our lead designers, and we look at where the jobs are, and then we schedule for the next week. During that process, we create tasks for them to do,
Mm,
individual daily task for electrical, plumbing, carpentry, whatever, tile,
mhm,
whatever we're doing. And then we implement those things into the checklist or the to-dos, the to-do list, and then they have to take a picture of it before it's done. I know something is done whenever that picture is taken because it automatically clicks it off. It's something that I have it you can choose to do, and I choose to do it with everybody. Everybody who has a task has to take a picture because at the end of the day, when project manager, I mean, we have 25, 30 jobs going at a time. I cannot expect him to go there every day. So
sure.
when he comes back to the office, right at the end of the day, he can go into CompanyCam and see, okay, well, at these three jobs, everything got done but X, Y, and Z. And then he can literally copy and paste into, the next day or not even the next day, it might go into the next week, but I know it wasn't done. Whereas before we were blindly thinking that it was done. And then on Friday, when we were preparing for the next week, it was like, oh no, we have to move this now into the next week instead of being able to manipulate our schedule while it is happening. So we really use the to do and task sheets. Um, and checklist are huge. Those are the things that we do. And then the pictures, making sure it has saved us at least 10 times already on huge losses because a client says, there's a chip in this tile. I don't know how it got there. We got home tonight and we have pictures of it being laid. And then as they're walking out of the house, and so we know nobody has been back in there. So we know that it doesn't fall back on Acadian house. We will fix it. 100% we will fix it. That's just the quality that we give. But I know that I don't have to go back to my team and say, hey, like, what happened? Like, I already know, like, I know that it wasn't necessarily an Acadian house issue. So quality control, I use it huge on quality control. We chat in it all the time. So project manager may have a thought on his mind that he can't text me, email me, or call me about. So he will put that into the actual picture that we take of him being concerned about a hardware placement. This doesn't look right. Can you check with, and then he will add the designer, and then sometimes he'll add me, but he'll at the designer and say, like, is this right? It doesn't really look right on the drawings compared to the drawings. So then immediately it pops up on our designer's screen. If they're not in a meeting, they can, boom, it pops up on their phone. So if they're in a meeting and they think it's important enough, they can also go in and tell them, like, hey, halt. Oh no, don't drill that hole. Or they can say, no, proceed, that looks great. So it's really saved us on levels like that. As far as what our process is. I can share more with you. I can go really in depth into this. I can take the whole time. But that's just the basis of, I suggest that starting there and then molding it to what you want it to be. But we really don't use it on anything else except when a job goes into construction.
One thing I want to finish up with, and we'll obviously get to any more questions that we have, but what do you think about benchmarks for your team hitting things? And I would ask everybody in the chat as well. Do you guys offer rewards for hitting benchmarks? And if you want to share that and what those are.
Yeah.
But talk
Yes.
about end of the year, quarterly benchmarks, how important those are to not just tracking, but obviously there's the motivation factor. Talk
Right.
about those things.
I'm going to kind of jump into the sub side of it. So monthly, our showroom is a fully functioning showroom. We have, meaning like we have appliances that work and stuff. So I cook for them monthly so they can come in and I'm not having to track each one of them down. So then they can talk to each other about, well, I need you to do this a little differently because I had to come back and do it. So like I make sure that they get together to do that. I wanted to say that earlier and it slipped my mind, but as far as like meeting goals and celebrating it, um, we have no cap on commission. So that is their motivation.
Yeah.
If we obviously give them a number that they have to hit for the year, as far as like, what we need to produce as a company, but we have no cap on that. You can make I will give you the opportunity to make as much money as you want. But that being said, if you do hit your goals, we offered like this year time off for holidays. I'll close down the whole end of the December so you can be home with your family. That's huge for us. We have a lot of moms and soon to be moms in the office, and that's big for them. So that I learned that through just being around them, that when I do things like that, it just creates such good loyalty and team morale that it's something that it's like, okay, well, that's easy. That's so easy for us to do. Um, and then also like company retreats, beach retreats, we're really close to Florida. It's like 4 hours away. So being able to have like a retreat for them and their families, that's something that we push to as well. So we really kind of look yearly for that, not necessarily quarterly, because they already have no cap on the commission. And for them, like for us, that works.
Glenn was asking about documents, putting specs, submittal drawings, approval.
All of those things.
And he said, wouldn't it be great if there was folders? We have tags and labels, obviously, choosing that system over folders with CompanyCam, but I know everybody does it a little bit different. How do you kind of keep everything organized, as Glenn is asking?
So in the documents, we do specs, drawings, we do all of the like electrical layout, we do hardware placement. And what I mean by specs, even if and we label them to and we're very specific, and then every person labels them the same. So when you look at each job, consistency is key. I don't want my plumber looking at four different labels or four different wordings to find the same thing. So hardware placement is just hardware placement. And that goes for everything. So labeling those documents are key and making sure that it's uniform across the whole platform. Um, we don't put any type of I see like approvals. We don't put any change orders or approvals in that type of in those folders. It's really just construction documents. It's only construction documents. And we use our the tags because like if I want to see just demo pictures, then I'll just click, I'll filter out everything else and just look at demo pictures. So that's how we do the picture side of things. But documents, we just put any construction document, anything that's necessary for construction, that's where that goes because our subs look only in there. We have a folder on the job site with everything in it as well in case somebody's phone dies or, again, backup plan. Always have a plan B.
Right.
In case that happens, but CompCam has that where you can just PDF it into there and it's great.
Yeah. Daisy, I see you have a tech question about downloading and annotations. Support at companycam.com, and one of our team members will help you get what you need to get done. You're welcome. Uh, Oscar's asking, we'll finish with this one. Where do you keep the documents? HubSpot? Question mark.
You mean
I
so we keep our documents in several places. So we have a file share. Obviously, we keep that on our hard drive for the company. So that's like a plan C. If everything else fails, we still have that. We don't put any documents into HubSpot. We put documentation of our design conversations. So all of our sales conversations go into HubSpot. That's where we document all of like the pre-construction appointments, all that conversation goes there, and all of our documents as far as construction will now fold into CompCam. So we have HubSpot for the front portion, and then CompCam goes for the construction portion of things. And we have a process for each one of those. We have a process for how we have our clients that come in initially, all the way down to assigning the job, and then all the way into construction.
Jenna, this was awesome as always, and
Thank
I just want to
you.
thank everybody for also joining us and jumping in with questions. And I'm going to put Jenna's contact info in the YouTube video and for the replay so that everybody can watch it again or, go to certain parts. But also, if you need to reach out, I know we had a question about the business coach. So that's a,
Yeah, I would love. I mean, I love what I do. This is new to me. I've only been doing this for about 4 years now, and so I'm still really excited about it. Uh, so if you want to reach out, as the more information I can give, the better we are as an industry throughout the nation, throughout the world. So I'm all about that.
well, we got to do it again. We got to make it number three, do another webinar because this
I'd
is
love to.
fantastic, Jenna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a great day, everybody.